We are live. Okay, cool. So this is the first time I've ever scheduled a live stream. So it's pretty cool. So if you're here and when you get here, let me know in the comments that you're here, from where, and post your number one favorite book, decision, and or resource that you had in 2018. I'm going to be sharing a whole bunch of resources, a whole bunch of tips that will simplify your journey in 2018. Actually, we just finished 2018, 2019. How many times are we going to be writing checks and dates and still put 2018 instead of 2019 starting tomorrow? Anyhow, congratulations for choosing to be here. That tells me a lot about you. I recall being in corporate America years and years ago, selling copiers, producing ads or selling advertisements. Let me see where the comments are. How do I find that? Oops, I need to get out of there. That'll mess it up. I'm working with this to see how to find comments. View. Okay, overlays, options. All right, I can't see comments right now. I heard a little bleep, so I think that's a comment, but I don't know. So I will figure this out as we continue. So years ago, while I was in corporate America, I had a goal to exit corporate America. I had a goal to be my own boss. I had a goal to be my own provider, right? Not having to rely on that company, that particular boss, asking for vacation, all that fun stuff. So I began searching, and years ago, I stumbled across the internet, right? And we're talking back in the 90s, so the late 90s. I first crossed paths with the internet while I was in the Marine Corps. So in 96, I was in Eric Redden's room in the barracks, getting online and saying, whoa, this is amazing. And in 97, when I got out, I was like, I will figure this thing out. I will be earning an income, earning a living from the internet soon. And while I was in corporate America, I began playing around and putting some sites up and having the goal that my goal was to create an outside income that would replace the corporate America income and allow me to do what I felt was mine to do. So with that, it led me to many different paths, many different mentors. One of the original courses that I came across was from Internet Marketing Center, IMC, Corey Rudel. Type in if you also ran into Corey Rudel. And I hear some beeping. I don't know where the daggum text is. Where is the comments on this thing? And I'm figuring this out. But, man, I heard it, but I can't see where the comments are. Source, scene, edit. Right. So I'll figure this out somehow. All right. But Corey Rudel. And, man, am I thankful that I crossed paths with Corey, because he and his company put together that course that changed my life and many others' lives. So anyhow, I was in that corporate world, planting seeds, doing things improperly, right? Improper action always beats proper inaction, right? So don't get caught up in that paralysis by analysis. Just do it, and then you'll figure it out as you go. And while I was doing that, there came across my attention a live event. And fortunately, I was with a friend who was speaking at that live event in North Carolina. I was the publisher of the North Carolina home book. And Ricky Rainbow said, hey, I'm going to this event called Unleash Your Marketing Genius, and I'd like you to come as my guest. So I came to that event, and that's where I was introduced and met some amazing people. And from there, the friendships began, the collaboration began, the networking began, and I realized there's a lot of people with really big hearts and are really committed to helping others. And I said, man, one day if I make it, if I figure this out, I want to be able to give back. And if you've been following me or you know, for any sort of time, you kind of might sense that I have a big heart of, you know, I crossed the river, now I want to build the bridge to help others make it over the river without having to rebuild that bridge. So that's why I'm doing this call here today. That's why I do what I do on a regular basis. Nothing gives me more satisfaction than helping people connect the dots in their mind, put the proper actions in place, and receive the proper results. Aha, I think I might have found it. Yes, I did it. Click here to view comments. All right, I can see the comments. Karen, hi Tom. Hi Karen. Jane, hello, how are you? I see the thumbs up there. Karen, my favorite book, Go for No. I like that. Decision to Pursue the Future of Abundance for Myself and My Family, and Love Online Sales Pro. Love Online Sales Pro. Okay, great. the 27 Percenters Success Club. Very nice. Thank you for sharing those resources. Now I heard the noise, and now I know where to find them. So good stuff. Eric, good to see you. Happy New Year. Here's to all of our best year yet, and it's going to be a tremendous year, and I can guarantee this. There's going to be a lot of amazing successes. There's going to be a lot of amazing lessons. And there's going to be the highs and lows, just like every year. So what do we have here? So Jane from Washington State. Best decision was joining MDC HempWorks. Taking CBD oils improved my life by relieving chronic pain and helped me sleep better. Also networking and follow people I met in Costa Rica. Very good. Congratulations. Happy to hear that. And that's part of the journey, part of the adventure. Plans will not go to plan. There's a famous saying that I found and heard from someone a long time ago. It said, if you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans. Kind of funny, right? I think it's funny. So here we are. What to do to simply just lay out the proper foundation in a simple fashion to really rock 2019, really get the most out of this upcoming year. And you know what? Here's the bottom line. There's no one proper way. You take all the information that you gather from the people that you follow and you disseminate and you discern what feels right for you. And one of the things that I'm going to share with you is me being in the past, a very overcomplicating person, I guess. I would take things that are simple and overcomplicate them. And I realized, why make it more difficult than it needs to be? Why do I take a system that's been proven to work step by step by step and then think, you know what, I can figure it out better, and overcomplicate it and basically get nowhere? So I gave up the overcomplication process and embraced a strategy that some of it was me putting together from all the information I've gathered from reading thousands of books, from listening to thousands of books in Audible, etc., and crafted it into some of my own programs. One of them that I'll dive into shortly is the 5-step success magnet system. I put that together as the towers were falling on September 11th of 2001. I pulled over on the side of the road, and that's when I made the decision. It's time for me to go from being a student to transition to also being a teacher. And answering the question that many people pose to me, Tom, how do you do it? You get into something and very quickly you rise to the top. So, yes, Michael, keep it simple, stupid. And that's one variation of many. But the bottom line is, don't overcomplicate it. There is a simple way. So we'll talk about my 5-step success magnet system. We'll talk about my Trinity success method real briefly, just to lay a simple foundation for you that you can contemplate and say, you know what, I like what he had to say here. I'm going to use this or modify it accordingly to fit your particular routine. So a lot of people leading into the upcoming calendar year make lists of goals, right? And they can be long lists, and they can be cumbersome, and they can, in many cases, the New Year's resolutions fizzle out pretty quickly. So what I have learned over the years, instead of making sheets and sheets of commitments that I know many of them won't be followed through with, and then upsetting myself in lack of progress and beating myself up, etc., what I've done is my Trinity success method. So basically a triangle with the base of the triangle being health, the left side being relationships, and the right side being finances. What I do each and every day, each and every week, month, quarter, year is ask myself, where am I in each of those areas? In my health, in my relationships, and in my finances. Where am I? How would I rate myself on a scale of 0 to 5? And where do I feel I have some room for improvement? And what's that plan to make that improvement? No resolutions, Karen. Yes, hey, resolutions work for some people. For me, I don't use that wording or philosophy, but I'm not against whatever works for other people. So for me, I just go to my Trinity success method. Okay, where am I in my health? Where am I in my relationships? Where am I in my finances? What do I feel on a scale of 0 to 5? Am I there, or do I have room for improvement? And my personal belief as a high performer is I never, ever will reach my full potential. So I'm always hard on rating it. I very ever would say a 5, because I don't feel that's even attainable as humans. We have so much potential that goes untapped from my perspective. So with my health, it's not just the reflection looking back at me in the mirror, my physical body. My health is my mental, my physical, my emotional, and spiritual health. Because to have that amazing body when you're emotionally or mentally screwed up is not a success, in my opinion. So where am I in a holistic appeal for health, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and which one of those might be the weakest link at this particular juncture that I want to put a little more time, attention, and effort towards bringing it up to par, per se. So, where am I? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and where are you? And aggregately, what would that be on a scale of 0 to 5? For me right now, it's right around a 4, right? I'm pretty hard on myself, so I know there's room for improvement. Yes, I do things to make my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health be where it is, but I also know there are things I am emotionally lazy about that I haven't put into my calendar and haven't put consistency behind. And I know when I do put it in there and have the consistency to back it up, it's going to be a new habit that I look forward to. There's always that transition when we put something on the calendar that first time, like, oh man, I don't really want to do this. You know, for instance, going to the gym, for instance, going to yoga, for instance, I love kickboxing, or whatever that physical activity is for you. And you're like, I'm procrastinating. You finally do it once, you're like, man, that was awesome. Then you feel the pain a day or two later, and you're in some pain, but you go again, and you're in some pain still, and you go again, and then you're like, whoa, why haven't I been doing this for so long? Like, I love this. This gets me more energized. This yes, takes a time chunk, maybe an hour or so of that dedication and commitment, but what that gives me as far as added energy, as far as vibrationally feeling so much better, adds to maximizing the other remaining hours in the day and in the week. So I'm not sure if you've been there. I've been there many times, where it's like after I've been consistent with it for a while, I'm like, why did I put this off for so long? So it all begins with that body at rest, likes to stay at rest, and taking it from a body at rest into motion. And where that comes is making a commitment, busting out your handy technical device here that we all have, breaking out the calendar, scheduling it in, and treating it as your most important appointment. Any appointment with yourself, you'll transition from blowing them off to treating them just like it was a meeting with your hero. You will not blow it off. And that's another simple thing that I'm at a point now where it's kind of unconsciously competent, but there was a point when I was unconsciously incompetent. I would schedule a lot of stuff that I would just blow off for me. Schedule appointments for me to do important activities or things like working out, etc., and blow them off. Until it hit me like, wait a minute, I'm a man of my word. I never would set an appointment with anybody and not be there. Why am I setting appointments with the most important person in my world, me, which in your life, the most important person in your world is looking back at you in the mirror as you, and blow me off? How ridiculous is that? So I got rid of all the extraneous appointments that I was blowing off, yet it looked nice in my calendar, to now when I put something in my calendar, it's gold. I make that discernment when I choose to put it in or not. And when I put it in there, you can count on it. I will be there. I was here at 2:22 p.m., wasn't I? Why? Because I'm always, and not only am I there, I'm generally early. This was the first live stream I've scheduled, so I didn't even know how it was going to work, but I knew I'd be there at 2:22. And actually, right outside the office, there was a conversation as I was leaving the restroom where I was like, hey, look, I'd love to chat more, but I have to get onto a live stream, so I'll talk with you next year, aka tomorrow. All right, so there's that. When you schedule things, A, they're important to you. B, just like you're a man or a woman of your word when you schedule an appointment with someone else, be a man or a woman of your word if you schedule an appointment with yourself. And we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. All right, so that body at rest, you got to really add the motivation and really kick it into gear to get that body at rest into motion. And this applies to each of the three areas, the health, the relationships, and the finances. If nothing changes, nothing changes. That's a common theme you'll hear me say over and over and over again. If I keep doing what I've been getting, or keep doing what I've been doing, I'll keep getting what I've been getting or worse, right? So we continually have to, as Tony Robbins says, CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. So there's that. So with health, where are you? Where do you feel you could be if you put proper attention to? And what is your plan? What is the action that you can commit to taking with consistency that will get you from where you are to where you want to be? Just like an Uber. You pull out the app, you tell the app where you are, tell the app where you want to go. Someone gets there, they got the thing already programmed and know how to get you there. You, with that clarity of knowing where you are and where you want to go, can get there one step, one day at a time. All right, so that's the first part of the Trinity Success Method. That's health. So for me, I have the current routine that I'm doing, and many of you may have seen my morning routine is the walk from home to the beach. 1.7 miles each way, 3.4 mile walk at a fast pace. Many times Wanda comes with me, sometimes she doesn't. Either way, we walk at a fast pace, generally 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, hour round trip. And I will record a video while there, so that's 10, 15 minutes. So an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, roughly, on a round trip per day of getting my body in motion, getting the sweat glands going, getting the mental clarity. And many times I'm listening to my AirPod with my favorite Audible book that's being played at 2x or 3x speed, mostly 3x. So in my 1 hour round trip, I will listen to 3 hours of audio. And think about this real quickly. How many songs do you think you can sing along with and to from the 70s? Sometimes some of you from the 60s, from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s, from the 2000s. Hundreds, thousands of songs. Let me ask you a follow-up question. Did you ever sit down and study the lyrics of all those thousands of songs? Or did you just hear it repetitively? And from hearing it repetitively, you were able to sing along. And many times, if you're like me, decades later, you found out you were singing some wrong lyrics, possibly. You finally see the lyric you've been singing along to for 20 plus years, and you've been singing it wrong. Or am I the only one? But that's fun, right? We don't have to sit and study to learn how to sing along with the thousands of songs that we can sing along to over the decades we've been here on this planet. We can sing along because of repetition. And yes, on occasion, I will, as Karen mentioned, sit down and actually look at some of the lyrics, but that's a rare occasion for me. Rarely did I ever bust out the lyrics and actually study them. Many times it was just singing along and hearing it over and over and over again. And I can listen to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, and sing along to a lot of songs without any practice. So that circles back to listening to these books. See, I don't just keep getting new books and new books and new books. I listen to the same books over and over and over and over again. And it's good information in allows me to have the good information out, if that makes sense. So a lot of the things, if this might be an epiphany for you or like a holy cow moment, my stuff, anybody's stuff today generally is not the first time humanity has ever heard it, right? I mean, many people, myself included, point to books such as Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill and many other of his books, and a slew of others that myself and many other people who are in business and in personal development have studied. Napoleon Hill didn't come up with a lot of that. That came from people he studied, which came from people they studied, etc., etc., etc. So it's all been shared with humanity. However, what I have, what you have, and what each of these books have with similar topics, similar niches, is these three things that separate me from you, me from Napoleon Hill, me from Tony Robbins, you from whoever your experts are in your niche: your personality, your experience, and your perspective. Your personality, your experience, and your perspective. And there's a story I share that blew my mind. When I was back in the corporate world, I was a sales manager and helping people succeed in selling copiers, Konica Minolta copiers, Eastern Copy Products, and Copy Service and Supply in North Carolina. Eastern Copy Products was up in Rochester, New York. And I had a huge library of Nightingale Conant audios. And when I'm meeting with my sales team, I was like, look, I got this library. I'm happy to share it with you. And here, let me pass some of it out. And I passed out some Zig Ziglar trainings. I passed out some Brian Tracy trainings. I passed out some Tony Robbins trainings. And it blew my mind. But it really solidified to me why it's very important for you to speak your message, even though there's other books out there, even though there's other experts out there, because of that personality, experience, and perspective. Because the feedback I got was sometimes like this. Hey, how'd it go? How'd you like that? Oh, well, I couldn't listen to it. Why not? I can't stand Zig Ziglar's country accent. I just couldn't listen to it. Okay, interesting. I would share the value. I would try to sell them on how they need to get over that and listen to it anyhow. It wasn't going anywhere. I learned not to beat a dead horse. Then similarly, it happened with Brian Tracy. Hey, how'd it go with the Brian Tracy tapes? Oh man, he is just so boring. I don't understand how anybody could listen to that. That is so boring. It put me to sleep. I couldn't listen to it. Interesting. I tried selling them once again on how important it could be to transform their results. Little did I know it was a waste of breath. And then it went to the person that had the Tony Robbins audios. Hey, excited to hear what you felt about the Tony Robbins audios. You know what? He's too hypey. Just that energy just turns me off. Nobody's like that. That's just too much. All right. Someone calling here. Decline. Thank you very much. So regardless of who the expert is, and regardless how many millions of followers each expert has, SW4 applies. SW4. Some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting. Some say some will, some won't, so what, next. Regardless of who it is, how awesome and amazing you may think they are, there's someone out there who thinks Tony Robbins is too hypey, and they can't listen to him. They just can't stand him. There's people out there who love Brian Tracy and have built huge, exponentially large results from following the guidance that they learned from Brian Tracy and implementing what he shares. And then there's others who will say, you know what, he's too darn boring. I couldn't listen to him. Okay, their choice. And there's others, as Francois says, me too, about Zig. All right, some people say with Zig, like, yeah, I just can't get over that country accent. You know, yeah, he may have some good stuff, but I just can't listen to it. And you know what? I got past trying to convince people how they need to get over it and just recognize some will, some won't, so what, next. That's the simple way, ladies and gentlemen. The hard way is trying to convince your Democrat friend why the Republicans are so great. You ever tried that? The hard way is being a Democrat and trying to convince your Republican friends of how your way is so much better. Have you ever won any of those conversations? Chances are you have learned, just like I learned a long time ago in those conversations, that it's a waste of breath. It's more along the lines of one of my mentors, Jim Rohn, said this. Interesting. That's it. To hear the feedback, and instead of me spending 30 minutes and investing and trying to convince them that Zig has nuggets in there that can transform their life, or Brian Tracy has nuggets in there that can transform their results, or Tony has nuggets in there if they can just push through. Interesting. Saves a lot of time, energy, effort, and wasted breath. And you may want to consider that about any political discussions as well. Recording available, Francois. There should be, yes, if all goes well, technologically, if the technology works, there shall be recordings. If it doesn't, there shall not. But as it works, it should work. So there should be recordings, yes. So that's the simple way, right? Some will, some won't. So what next? And if people don't agree with you, guess what? Expect that. And guess what? You don't have to. You can choose your battles, per se. You don't have to always have other people think the way you think. How boring would the world be if everyone thought like you? You know, there was a time in my life I thought, well, I kind of lived by this. If other people thought, spoke, and act in the manner I did, would the world be a better place? And from my perspective, I felt yes. But I was like, man, I just can't believe, how can they do that? How can they be that way? Now I see it as the circle of life, right? Like, let's talk about the Lion King. Like, the circle of life. Like, of course there's going to be different opinions. Of course there's going to be different perspectives. Life would be absolutely boring without it. And it's now, as I grow emotionally, less care of what other people think, of what other people say, of what other people do, as long as it's not harming anyone outside of them and or themselves. As long as there's no self-harm or harm to others, let them think how they want to think, from my perspective. However, I'm good at also putting my stake in the ground and attracting the people who can volley back and forth in a conversation with me, who are, there's that term echo chamber. To a degree, we all live in a quite solid echo chamber, but I like to expand beyond that. And let me share this. So back in childhood, back in high school, A, I was born to teenagers, 17-year-old mother, 19-year-old father. B, I grew up around 4 divorces and 6 marriages or was it different? Or 6 marriages? I don't know. 4 divorces and 6 marriages. I think that's the way, yeah. Between my parents, and went to 9 different schools by 8th grade in upstate New York and North Carolina. I was the new kid. By the time I learned everyone's name in my class, we were moving to another place, and I was going to a different school. In that, there were many lessons learned, but I got to see dynamics that many people don't see. There's a lot that have maybe moved and went to more schools than me, but I also know a lot of people who didn't move as much. And basically, I was friends with the jocks. I was friends with the skateboarders. I was friends with a wide variety, the rockers, the new age people. I was friends across the board. And similarly, I have, yes, my own echo chamber, but I also like to hear other perspectives and get to grasp how someone could feel that way about major topics. And I have amazing friends who definitely don't believe the things I believe. And that's perfectly fine from my perspective and their perspective. For some reason, there's this lack of security or something in people that feel if you don't believe the way I feel, I'm threatened, and I need to force you to make you feel the way I feel and think the way I think and see this in the perspective, in the manner that I see it. And that's just, holy crap, that's a really tough angle to have from my perspective. So anyhow, I'm friends with a lot of people that have different thoughts, different ways of doing things, different perspectives, etc. But I do attract and do enjoy conversations with people that are making a difference, that are seeking to improve themselves, that are trying to be a little bit better today than they were yesterday. Knowing this, at least from my perspective, knowing that I am imperfectly perfect, I'm perfectly flawed, and I am unashamedly going to be me. And what does that mean? Some will, some won't, so what next? Some will love me, some may not. And that's okay. I'm not going to convince people who don't. It's all there, and they can make their choice, and I will say interesting if it doesn't jive with my thought process. Interesting. Okay, cool. I never saw it from that perspective. Carry on. And here's to your best year yet. Right? It's a much easier process than, trust me, from going around those divorces and going to those new different schools. I am now 46 years old. I think probably within the last year, maybe two, I've emotionally matured to the point where I'm not out there basically trying for everyone to love me. Right? And there's a lot of psychological conversations I've had. One of them in particular was when my mom and I were having an argument when I was young. And I said, you know what? I don't want to live with you anymore. I want to go live with Dad. She brought the phone over and said, great, call him. He doesn't want you. Ooh, right? Now, they're 17 and 19 when I was born. So they were young when I was at this age. They were doing the best. And here's the thing. I had massive love for my parents, massive love for my family. I'm not in any way saying that it was the worst childhood or even a bad childhood. It was exactly what I needed to mold me into who I am today, and I'm extremely thankful for that, extremely thankful for them. But that was a unique situation. And when I called my dad, now looking back, I can see there were financial constraints and there were spacious constraints to where he, when I called him and said, I want to come live with you, he's like, sorry, you can't. Right? And that, as a child, made me feel unlovable. So we're diving into some deep psychological stuff here. Now, one of the things I've learned from studying psychology and people is there's always this inner feeling from just hardwired into humanity, am I lovable? Am I good enough? So I tried to prove my entire life how lovable I was, and how anybody who didn't see that, I would just go to all ends to try to make them prove that I was lovable, right? So I'm now at this point where I'm me. I'm going to be me, perfectly imperfect, and some will get it, some won't. So what next? I'm okay with that. Now, does it hurt still? I will say yes. There are some people that can say some mean things, and that's another thing we lose track of in this digital age. The keyboard warriors, just saying and doing whatever they think is make them look tough and whatnot. There's a lot of hurt going on, and as me being a Marine, right, being a top wrestler and all this, there are things that are said and done that I can take personally and feel some hurt and feel some pain. And if I feel that, imagine the people that aren't as disciplined and aren't as trained as I am to deal with that type of stuff, how much that will hurt and impact negatively their lives, right? So that's just something to consider, right? What's the old saying? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, in a way, right? So Let's see, Ed Mercer. You do what you preach. I was there for the JV Zoo Mankini. Ed, good to see you, my friend. Yes, the Mankini, once you see it, you can't unsee it. As Eric says, the Mankini is hard to unsee, but Tom rocked it better than most could. Well, thank you. Thank you. And for those who don't see it, I actually have this cool tool where there's a possibility we might see a part of that. And unless, it might be a fitting part right now. Because this goes into the not caring what others think. Because trust me, when I was in the back of this room, so long story short is my friend Trey Smith, who's Frank Kern's cousin, was hosting an event in San Diego, and he had speakers like Bob Proctor, like Andy Jenkins, like Mike Koenigs, like Mike Feel Same, and on and on. Frank was there as well. And, oh dear, is right. And the joke was, hey, Trey, because we were all in a mastermind, and the deal was we could just show up to other people's events and such. I said, hey, Trey, I'm showing up at your event. I said, by the way, I'm bringing you a mankini. He said something along the lines of, dude, I don't have the balls, figuratively or literally, to wear that thing. But if you bring one, I'll get you on stage. George, I remember that event. Well, yeah, and many people, George said they remember being there, and the only thing they remember is seeing that green mankini. They don't remember much about anything else. Jane, welcome back. I went and ordered one on Amazon, and I didn't know how it was going to unfold. But long story short, I was going over to the event, and I left the room with the mankini in my bag, and I said, wait a second. If it happens, it's not going to be like, hey, Tom, go run to the bathroom and change. So I went back in my room and put the mankini on. That was my first experience with a thong at that particular juncture, and it was quite interesting. So I put my jeans on and my shirt on over it and went over to the event room. And I saw Trey, who's preparing for this event with roughly 500 people there, with his team and getting all the logistics squared away. And my mind said, you don't want to interrupt him. But my mind, I overrode that. I overrode that comfort zone by saying, you know what? I got a freaking mankini on, a slingshot up my butt. I'm going to go interrupt him. So I went over. I said, Trey, I got that thing on. He's like, get the F out of here. I was like, oh, I got it on. I showed him. He's like, holy crap. Like, well, what are you going to talk about? I said, I don't know. I didn't think about it. I said, how about the power of stepping out of your comfort zone? He said, perfect. So long story short, there was a break. After Andy Jenkins spoke, there was some lighting issues. And he's like, hey, dude, we have some lighting issues. We're going to have some people up there fixing the lights. Are you ready? Right. So I go in the back of the room. I start taking these clothes off and in a mankini. And Glenn Ledwell of Mind Movies walked in the door as I'm taking the clothes off. He's like, what, mate? He's from Australia. Mate, what in the hell is going on? So you'll find out soon. That was a terrible Australian whatever, but impression. But he saw it, and funny part is, Glenn. Many people think he's just got everything squared away. He is amazing as an entrepreneur, but he said he was fearful of speaking on stages. And he's like, mate, if you can get up there and speak in a slingshot, showing your private parts, I can get up there with my clothes on. So he thinks about the mankini to pump him up, to push himself to get up on stage and deliver the massive value he does. And has impacted many, many lives throughout the globe by pushing himself out of his comfort zone. So that's another tip for 2019, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Maybe we'll get to it at the end here, but most of you have seen it already. So the mankini presentation is key. All right, so the body at rest stays at rest. You got to commit to saying, you know what? Here's where I am at my health, and I know if I did this one thing. Now, don't put 20 different things in this one thing. For some people, that may be yoga. I have a kickboxing place right near me. I haven't been to in forever. I'm contemplating which is first: yoga, kickboxing, etc. And put it in the calendar and schedule it and do it. And then things that are important to you, when they end up in here, it changes your life. You literally take control of your most precious asset, which is time. And small, seemingly insignificant actions 1 year later, taken consistently, are dramatically, exponentially larger than what most of us ever imagine. So health is one clear example. And there's been transformations in myself and many of you here where I was heavier, and 60 days later, I was 20, 30 pounds lighter. And it wasn't by torturing myself, or it was just by small, consistent actions of being intentional about what I was putting into my mouth and intentional about my moving properly and getting the proper sleep and etc. But anyhow, that's part A, the health. You get the health squared away, you are on the right track. Next is relationships. Now there's a quote that says, if mama's not happy, nobody's happy, right? And that's true for mama, papa, whoever your significant other is. If that significant other isn't happy, it's going to be a longer, harder journey than it needs to be, which equates to being more complicated, overcomplicated. So how to simplify that is making deposits of value into those key relationships. It begins by identifying who those key relationships are, because not all relationships are equal. Who are your people? Who are your people? And you're either making deposits into those accounts of relationships or you're making withdrawals. And the more withdrawals you take without deposits, the less you or they are going to be happy. So that also can occur by putting this into your calendar. If they're important to you, where are you communicating with them? Just haphazardly? Or how and what can you do, especially if there's space between, one another? How and what can be done to have recurring appointments of just to catch up? Hey, how are things? What's going on? And or little routines where each and every morning you reach out to this particular person, or each and every evening you reach out to this particular person, and you send a couple text messages here and there. What's the process? What's the plan to make deposits into those key relationships so that this stands true? In relationships, time equals love. Period. Time equals love. The more time you're investing into that relationship, and not the distracted time, not the time where you're, No, it's that down, that away, and time, fully present. That's the difference maker. All right, so identify who those key relationships are and put a plan in place to make more deposits into that relationship, aka giving it more time, having that person feel more love, and watch how that dynamic just amplifies all your other your health, your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health increases. All your other relationships will increase, including the most important relationship, the one with yourself, which also needs to be scheduled. And then it also impacts positively your financial situation, because you're in a much more stable place to be more creative and to be more proactive to take the proper steps to grow your financial results. All right, so a couple other things. Eric laughed at the slingshot. Fasting rocks, yes. Amen to putting phones away, absolutely. Be there and present fully, yes. So, if people were to look at some of my writings, they might say those are resolutions, but they're just what I have asked myself. Who do I want to be in 2019? What do I want to focus on? And one of them, absolutely, the most important one is be present. Be present. The second one is be bold. Be bold. Be present, be bold, which ties into the stepping out of your comfort zone. Why are comfort zones called comfort zones? Because they're freaking comfortable, right? We all, at most every time, we're trying to seek that comfort zone. We have to proactively step out of the comfort zone. We have to proactively, and that's like scheduling those things that, oh man, that's just gonna ruffle up my routine. We're in kind of a rut, in kind of a routine that we don't want to bust out of. But when you do that and are bold enough to schedule those actions that are yours to do, that changes everything, along with consistency. And then be me, fully, unapologetically, perfectly flawed and all. Right? Stop worrying about what other people are going to think. When you reach a certain level of who you are and you're making choices that are leading you towards the desired outcomes that you'd set to improve your health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to improve your key relationships, to improve your financial situation, you're on the right path, right? And all those things that might have been attractive to you in the past that would derail you from the intentions and the goals and the desires that you have, that's old news. That no longer is attractive. You're now on the right path. And the only question is that I ask myself is, what's mine to do right now? And trust my discernment. I am a kick-butt discerner. I know, based on the information that I have, exactly what the best use of my time is right here, right now. And I'll ask myself, is what I'm doing right now the absolute best use of my time, energy, effort, and focus? And if the answer is no, what is the best use of my time, energy, effort, and focus right now? Okay, do that. Period. And when you're doing that and you're being present in the moment continually, you are the captain of the ship, staying on course with the true intentions and desires and goals that you've set. And if you catch yourself distracted, right? And what are some of the distractions? And I work with clients all over the world. I'm not going to share personal names and personal stories, but there's some themes. Some people are addicted to games. Some people that are very well known, very well respected, very, very successful are addicted to games. It's taking their most precious asset of time, which, by the way, is negatively impacting their financial results, negatively impacting their relationship with themselves because they're beating themselves up over how much time that they're wasting towards this game, beating themselves up because that time is not being given to their significant other or children and or the business. So it's hurting their business, it's hurting their personal relationship with themselves, their personal relationships with the people that are closest to them, yet it's built to be addictive. Think about this. Billions and billions and billions of dollars, the best minds in the world have built these to be addictive. It's literally like a pile of cocaine, a pile of whatever in front of you that is just there anytime you want, as much as you want. It takes recognizing this as an enemy. It takes recognizing this as a thief if we allow it to be that. It also can give us freedom. It also can be the guide that keeps us on the compass, on the path, on the trajectory to get to where we want to be. It can either be the thief or the helper. But it easily, and trust me, the news, that's a business. The news wants, the more eyeballs, the more attention they get, the more money they get from advertising. The games, the more time they are able to steal from you, the more revenue they make. I mean, it's all around stealing your most precious asset of time. And the more they can steal of it, the more their bottom line goes up. And it's all money. And they use their money to put the best marketing behind making them addictive. Right? And when we think of addiction, we think of sex addiction, we think of alcohol addiction, we think of drug addiction, etc. Well, not many people think of the phone addiction in and of itself, the addiction to news, negative energy without substance, my acronym NEWS, negative energy without substance, the addiction to games. And here's another one that's crept up, and I've noticed many of my highly successful friends, married or not, are addicted to these stupid dating apps, which also is stealing their time, attention, and focus, and putting time, attention, energy into a thief that's going to steal their monetary success, going to steal their personal relationship success, and not the best use of their time, right? So what is it for you? Don't know. It's up to you to assess. Where is the thief? Where does that thief have a stronghold with you? And what's the plan to remove that stronghold and put your time, energy, and effort towards the things that you want, not a thief stealing your most precious asset. If you had a thief that you knew was breaking into your office, breaking into your house, and taking your money and taking your resources, wouldn't you want to stop that? Well, this, for many, is a thief. The games are a thief. The dating apps are a thief. Social media can be a thief. I asked a long time ago, is social media using you, or are you using social media? It's definitely winning the game, by the way. Social media, with the billions and billions of dollars, and the games with the billions and billions, they're winning this battle. The bank accounts show that. The odds are highly stacked against me, highly stacked against you, highly stacked against the world, because they use the best and most influential tactics allowed, legally and illegal, to make them as addictive as possible, just like nicotine was addictive, just like alcohol, just like drugs, just like all the other addictive things. It's being used, and you either allow it or don't allow it. It's up to you. Karen says, I don't have time for games. Me too. I noticed a long time ago, playing with my kids, Plants vs. Zombies with my kids. And And then I notice on some plane rides, I'm playing Plants vs. Zombies. I'm like, oh, that's odd. And then at my office, I'm by myself playing Plants vs. Zombies. This is years ago, 2011 or so. I'm like, what is going on here? This thief is stealing my most precious asset. I got rid of all the games. I don't have any games on here, but I do have the social media. I don't have any dating apps on here. Thankfully, I didn't get caught up in porn when I was younger, and I didn't get caught up in that crap nowadays, because that is a huge stealer of our most precious asset of time as a society as a whole. TV and Netflix and cable for binge watching are big time thieves. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you think of, okay, what are all these thieves? And how can I say it? All right, so health, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. When we go to the grocery store, just like we're talking now about thieves of time, look at the stuff and just picture like literally think poison. And it's hard in a grocery store to point at something that's not poison. It takes very, very high discernment to recognize something that is not poison in the daggum grocery stores. Just calling it like it is. In the 7-Elevens, in the, you name it, any of the convenience stores. Anything in there would be hard-pressed for you to point at it and say that's not poison. Think of your body like a $1 billion car. In Boca Raton, on my morning walk, we see numerous Rolls Royces. Lately, I've actually seen a couple of the new Rolls Royce SUVs, like a $500,000, $600,000 SUV. There's Lamborghinis, there's Bugattis, there's you name it. It's all here. One of my favorites, the dude, I drive by his house all the time, chat with him on occasion. He owns a Pagani, a $1.3 million Italian supercar. Absolutely gorgeous. And next to the Italian supercar, the Pagani, he's got the Aston Martin, he's got the Ferrari. When you're in his garage, you don't even pay attention to the Aston Martin Ferrari. They're old news. The Pagani is beautiful. Do you think he's going to take his $1.3 million car and pour sugar into the daggum gas tank? Or he's going to, you know what, let me switch this up a little bit. I'm going to put gas in the oil tank and oil in the gas tank. You know, it's got a system. It knows what works, and you don't want to mess with that system. Well, I'm not going to go down a whole path of biology and what works for your body and what doesn't, but I think common sense tells you our body's 70+% water. Water is the absolute best thing for you to ingest, not Gatorade, not Red Bull, not you name it, definitely not alcohol, right? Hate to break the news, like that's not going to be put into the $1.3 million Pagani. Well, here's the other news I'll break to you. Your body is way more valuable than the $1.3 million Pagani. It's in the billions. There is no robot that's created that can replicate our bodies, regardless of what state your body is in right now. It's multiples, exponentials beyond the Pagani in this dude's garage. Yet, myself, I would venture to say yourself, treat it like crap. Let's call it what it is. So we're talking about the thief of time and all those different things. When you start thinking them of thieves, and ask yourself, would I let a thief come in and take my money and take my resources? Heck no. That would be stopped like that. Well, this thief is taking something more important than your money, your time. And when you recognize that, you can point to the things, aha, thief, thief, thief. And you minimize that, and you use it versus it using you. All right? Now, when you're walking around the grocery store, you also can apply poison, poison, poison. Not poison, water. Not poison. I will put the not poison in my body. I'm going to choose not to poison my $1 billion vehicle, which is my body. And our body, you know, our bodies have their shelf life. Well, the rub is we don't know when our body expires. But, you know, what, 70s for the average. But I have friends that are no longer here. New York Times bestselling author, some of his books around here, gone. At my age, a couple years younger than me, 44, 45 years old. What the heck? Left two daughters behind, a wife behind. It's super sad, right? And, you know, we don't have a guarantee that if we work out and if we don't put poison in our bodies that we'll live to 100. There's no guarantee of that. However, when we recognize it's what's mine to do is to care for this vehicle, similarly that guy cares for his $1.3 million Pagani pretty nicely. He takes very nice care of it. You want to take very nice care of your vehicle. And number one thing is put more water into it. Put less poison into it. Try to diminish all the poison in due time. However, that once again is also very addictive and not on accident. That once again is very purposefully addictive. And when you start to see food and you start to look at poison, 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 and start to think, aha, they're made to be addictive. Why? The money. It's all money. Where do most of the American dollars and most of the dollars go nowadays across the world? Food. Food. Yeah, Ed, you're absolutely right. Corey Rudel died young in the car crash, and that was a freak accident. He was doing what he loved on a racetrack, in the Porsche, the $500,000 Porsche, which has been proven to have very sketchy handling abilities. And a Ferrari came out, cut it off, and it caused a crash that killed the driver and Corey, who was the passenger, in 2005. And here's my take. I've had my near-death experience. I was brought up to the bright white lights, and I was standing there, and the doors open, and walking towards the bright white lights. There was someone that came up, put their arm around me. Everything was at peace. Halfway to the doors, I stopped and said, "This isn't how it's supposed to end. I know you had more for me to accomplish. Send me back." I had been helicopter lifted from that single car accident in upstate New York, Geneva, New York, to University of Rochester Medical Center. I woke up with a respirator breathing for me. I had severe head trauma and nerve damage in my leg. I had to learn to walk and talk again. I checked myself out of the hospital after a few days because they kept telling me, even when I couldn't speak, I would just shake my head, that I may never walk or talk properly again. And from that experience, I wish I could pass this along to you, and hopefully this will pass along and flip a switch for you to not have to go through the near-death experience to get this. My take on life is this. When it's my time, it's my time. I'm not going to live a second shorter or a second longer than when it is my time. And in the interim, I am immune to death. Think of that. I am immune to death until I'm not. Think about that. I am immune. I have an S on my chest. I'm immune to death. Now, I'm not going to jump out any windows or run into any traffic. I'm going to do what's mine to do to protect this body to the best of my ability. But if tomorrow or next week or next month or next year or next decade or multiple decades, when it's my time, it's my time. When it's not my time, I'm immune. And I'm going to go for life boldly. And I'm going to protect my billion-dollar vehicle with the best of the ability that I can put forward. What's mine to do to treat this billion-dollar body right? To not feed it poison, to not do ridiculous things, which, by the way, in my past, I did a lot that was not taking care of this body. Massive amounts of things that weren't. You wouldn't do it to your car, right? Why would I do that to my body, right? So, but you reach a certain level, like, hey, you know what? I am immune to death until I'm not. And in the meantime, I'm going to live. I'm going to live boldly. I'm going to live fully. I'm going to live unapologetically being me. The best version of me that I feel is pertinent right here, right now. And that leads to one of the most important things for, number one thing for me in this upcoming year is a reminder to be present. To the point of this happening, and Dan, I get your message here. What is your mission in life? I will share that here shortly. So think of this. Have you ever caught yourself thinking about something in the past? Thinking about, and maybe worrying about something in the past. Or thinking about something in the future, and maybe even worrying about something in the future. I do. And when I catch myself either thinking of something in the past, and by the way, I'll say especially when it's negative, especially, and here's the funny part. Our past, for many humans, myself included, likes to play reruns of the shittiest parts of our life. Right? Is it just me? Our mind is like, hey, what's the shittiest thing that's ever happened to me or I ever did that was just ridiculous? Let me just play that over and over and over again. Or, with people close to us in our lives. Oh, that person did this, 50 years ago. What the hell? Okay. The past is the past. Right? Oh, yeah, Eric, I'll get to that in a second. But when I catch myself, especially in negative things or looking forward negatively in the future, right? Man, if this keeps up, holy crap. And you go down this path of the world, your world is destroyed. I always remind myself to be present. The past is what the past is. And guess what? I'm perfectly imperfect, or imperfectly perfect, whichever you want to say, as are you from my perspective and everyone else. I can't change a daggone thing from a second ago, a minute ago, an hour ago, a day ago, a week ago, a month ago. And I can say this, the imperfect person that I am now was way more imperfect then. Like, I'm continuously getting better and better. And I look back on some of the choices, the thoughts, the words, and actions that I've done in the past, and just call it like it is. I'd probably beat my own ass a couple times. Like that's just not acceptable. Like, that is not cool. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? I'd beat my own ass, beat myself up, because that's ridiculous. Thankfully, I've decided to improve continuously, and what I don't do and what I don't want to do is focus on, well, I wish I would have done this or said this, or I wish I hadn't done this. Like, things are what they are. I can't change a freaking thing. Wish I could in certain circumstances, but at the same time, we wouldn't be who we are now if everything didn't happen the way it happened. So things happened exactly. Just happened. It is what it is. I can't change a thing. Only thing I can change and control is right here, right now. My thoughts, my words, and my actions. And if I'm clear on what I want in my health, my relationships, my finances, and I'm taking actions that are consistent with one step at a time getting me closer towards my intentions, and circling back to, is this what's mine to do right now? Am I doing what's mine to do right now? Is this the best use of my time, energy, and focus right now? If I'm continuously in the now, magic happens. Magic happens. And guess what? If you think and you study some of the highest, most respected people over history and of today's day and age, you'll find some common books. Be Here Now. The Power of Now. Right? There's this stuff is not mine, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not making this up. There's massive power when you're able to be fully present. I will say this. I've spent time with Tony Robbins in Fiji. And when you're talking with Tony, there's no one else on this planet. No one exists but you and Tony. That is clear. His mind is nowhere but in that conversation. That's called a hint. When you're talking with Brendan Burchard, spent a decent amount of time with Brendan, his house, got a tour of Oregon with him and Rich Sheffrin, went to dinner. When you're speaking with Brendan, you are the only person in the world. He gives you his full, it's a gift of being fully present. That's my goal, to give the gift of my presence. That sounds kind of cocky when you say it like that, but you get what I'm saying. To be fully present. When you are fully present, you separate yourself from the rest of the society. It's like, okay, yep, You just want to rip the phone out and chuck it, right? That's not you. You want to give the gift of your presence, of being fully present. Let me take a look at this here. Just been through losing speech from a head injury and a car accident, and still work with speech language pathologists. Pretty frustrating when you can't speak. Glad we both can again, but I still have my moments. Yes, it was interesting. And Eric, you may have had a similar experience where I'm thinking, here's what I want to say, and blue, red, house, pink, all these other words come out that are not what I want to say, and my mind's frustrated. Like, wait a minute, that's not what I'm trying to say. And I try to say something again, and it's off again. The words just aren't matching up. So yeah, it was a very frustrating experience, but congratulations on pulling through it and making it through, and your best is yet to come. I love it. Ed Mercer, good advice, Tom. The best advice I ever got along those lines was to live life in gratitude, because we really do have it so good compared to the rest of the world. Absolutely. Gratitude is key. An attitude of gratitude is where it starts. Karen, show people how important they are by focusing on them and being present in their presence. Absolutely. Absolutely. So being grateful. I'm grateful for all of our paths crossing here. And I'm grateful that we are where we are. This journey has had its crazy ups and downs, twists and turns, spins. I mean, think of the most ridiculous roller coaster you've ever ridden and multiply that times 100, and that's probably your life, my life, everybody's life. And we all have our unique perspective, experience, and personality to go along with it. Own that. Own that. Don't do like I did. And I'm actually breaking out of that and stepping out of my comfort zone in 2019, where I, years ago, was on a path and was passionate. And I'd stumble across someone like, oh, that person's already doing it. Well, they're doing it pretty good. They actually are doing things the way I would have done it. You know, I would have modified a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's close enough. It's pretty good. And one of them is my friend Frank Rambauskas, who's no longer here. Frank passed away a few months ago. And I'm still waiting to hear from his wife what the thing was, but they think it was something with the heart, right? Or some type of aneurysm. But he was roughly my age. And years ago, when I was still in the corporate world and he had just written Never Cold Call, we would communicate and we'd talk. And I was called the sales champion. My first website, well, one of my first websites was the sales champion. And I was going to be a sales trainer. And I came across his stuff and he had Never Cold Call. And I was like, man, you know what? You pretty much nailed a lot of what I was going to do. So I'm just going to share your stuff. And I detoured from that path. And there are a couple other occurrences that were on my journey when I was like, hey, I found someone doing something that's pretty close to what I was going to do. Not quite the same, but almost. And I just kind of defaulted to that and gave up on that particular path. Where now, in today's day and age, it's really difficult to find anybody who has something to say that doesn't overlap with someone else's opinions and perspectives. Like, I'm me, and I have my unique perspective, experience, and personality. And some will love it, some won't. So what? Next. And I'm not going to shy away from what I feel is mine to do. That's where it circles back to. I'm not doing it out of obligation. I'm not doing it to impress people. I'm not doing it other than the fact that I feel it's mine to do. And in doing what's mine to do, it will positively impact the people that will cross paths with it. So that kind of circles back to Dan Stanley's question. What is your mission in life? It's a multifold answer depending on the day that you find me. I have multiple answers. One of them is I help people turn their dreams into reality. And I've been pretty good at it. Like, I help people gain the clarity of what their dream actually is. Basically, what's the answer to what do I want? What do I truly want? If I were to have a gift, a magic wand passed to me and said, you can have whatever you want, what would that be? And I'm pretty good at helping people gain that clarity of what that truly is. Peeling the onion back, because a lot of people's first answers are way exterior. You need to dig deeper and deeper and deeper to truly find what that is. But and part of that answer is I help people turn their dreams into reality is kind of on the exterior. And I dig deeper and deeper. I help people recognize the billionaire within themselves. We talked about the comparison between the 1.3 million Pagani and how he takes care of it. I want to help people see the larger version of themselves, the billion-dollar version of themselves who lives their life presently, boldly, fully, unapologetically, and does what's theirs to do. And the best way that I do that is leading by example. My first site was settheexample.com. I don't own that anymore, but that was my first site, settheexample.com. And Jeffrey Gitomer, best-selling author, best-selling sales author of all times, that's when I met him, December 31st of 2001, shortly after 9/11. And he's like, you have the balls to have settheexample.com? He's like, I set the example in certain areas, but there's other areas I don't. I was like, yeah, I do. And funny enough, back then I had the courage to claim it, but looking now, I was just a young buck who didn't know what the heck was going on, but was a bold follower of what I felt was mine to do. So in a long answer, Dan, that's the answer. And basically how that also leads to leading by example is my work positively impacting other people's lives, which will in turn help them gain clarity, will in turn help them turn some dreams into reality, help them find the clarity and answers of what do I truly want, and step out of their comfort zone boldly enough to go for it. And one step at a time, continue on with that consistency to achieve it. So I do that, and I help many of my high-level clients achieve that one-on-one with consulting. And now I'm taking the lessons I've learned that have been very well received in wide and numerous number of niches, and putting them into courses, live events, and group coaching programs that I'll be able to impact more people's lives versus the lives I've been impacting have been tremendous, and they're leaders who also have platforms, so it's trickling out and positively impacting many people's lives. But I want to have a more mass appeal message that isn't out of the price range of many people. So that's where my message is at now, and my mission and my purpose in life at this particular juncture. Cool. Karen, I have aphasia too, frustrating at times. Yes, absolutely. Eric, you're very good at being present in person and online. Well, thank you. That's just one of the things when you set the intention I intend, and the best use of my time right now, many times, is to be present. That's it. And it's not, that simplifies it from my perspective, right? The best I can be right now is present and trust in knowing that it's going to go exactly where it needs to go. That's it. All right. Ed, gotta go. Nice talk, Tom. Great way to bring in the new year. Catch you next time. See you on the beach. Sounds good, Ed. Thanks for being here. And before we go, I'm also going to share a couple resources, right? So everyone likes to talk about books, and a couple of books that I have unfolded to make my foundation for next year. This one is just a must-have, and if you see my notes in this, like, it is a massively valuable book. This resource, anybody who's an entrepreneur needs this book. Yeah, my pleasure, Dan. Hope that was helpful. And this book, if you don't have it, you need to get it. At that URL, you get it for a penny, plus shipping and handling. This book is amazing and a must-have for any entrepreneur. Another one, a friend that I am super proud of, this. And when he put this out, I texted him. I said, Russell, you put into this book more than what used to be in courses that were $2,000 courses. And once again, you'll see my notes in this, the notes. You'll see how I write, I underline, I do the whole thing in these books. This one is more than what used to be in the old $2,000 courses. This shows the plan, right? So in my schedule, I have time to re-study and implement certain aspects of this. This literally lays out the plan. It's amazing. So that one is a free offer as well, plus shipping. The first one, the 80/20 book, is a penny offer plus shipping. Russell's Expert Secrets, free plus shipping. Pay for your shipping and handling. Get that. And that one, by the way, the subtitle to 80/20 is The Definitive Guide to Working Less and Making More. Right? So a must-have for entrepreneurs. It is absolutely incredible. Incredible. This one, the subtitle is The Underground Playbook for Creating a Mass Movement of People Who Will Pay for Your Advice. If you have expert status and desire to be any type of coach, author, speaker, trainer, whatever, this outlines the exact steps for that must-have. Mustget.us/expert secrets, mustget.us/80/20. And then the predecessor of Russell's book creation was this. And this one I love because not everybody is an expert, but this is the Underground Playbook for Growing Your Company Online. So if you have a business and are seeking to get better results online, growing a bigger list, converting more offers, creating webinars, doing all that's necessary to grow your business, this book outlines that for you. You can get that one for free, plus shipping at that URL right there. So those are a couple resources. I'm going to leave you with something unique. All right, so write those down. Mustget.us/80/20, mustgetus/expert secrets, mustget.us/.com secrets. I'm going to take those away. I'm going to take that away. I'm going to take this away. I'm going to show you. This is an app. Actually, let me see. I don't think I put it in here. So that one is. Did I show that one? Okay, here we go. Mustget.us/ecam. I'm using right now this app and that's where I can see, and I can actually bring in, for instance, Eric's comment right there. Like this eCam thing allowed me to schedule this to my Facebook page, and I can do all the things, the image that you had here, and all the text, real simple, real cool. But then it also allows this. And what I'm going to show is a new video. Oops, actually, I did it not the right way. I have to go here. Choose file. Recents. This one. So I'm actually bringing this file in. So I brought this file in, and Eric, you saw this when the Omar event occurred, and that was a reminder to me of how freaking powerful this is. So as we went through 2018 and we prepared for 2019, this is one of the most inspirational videos that I've come across, and I'm going to show you something here. Not there. Right here. So this is a resource that I'll show you. So basically, I searched for it on YouTube. You may already know this, but this is super powerful if you don't know this. When you go to YouTube, if you just go in front of the Y and type SS, return, you can download this video. So you click here, you go click the download in browser, you click download, it will download it. That's exactly what I did right before we jumped on here to get this video. Right? So if you don't know about that tool, now you do. Anyhow, we're going to go to the death crawl scene. Watch this and think about 2018. Okay, to respect copyright, I have edited that version out. So there's no video or audio here, but you can go to youtube.com, search for death crawl, and you will see the 5-minute scene that's highly, highly inspirational. So in order to respect copyright laws of the video and audio, I've removed that, and now back to the program. Whew. Man, every time I see that, that just inspires me and puts a little tear in my eye, because as I mentioned earlier, I'm of the belief that none of us reach our full potential. And as you just witnessed, having that coach yelling at Brock and being there to support him and push him, and Brock, would have given up had the coach not been there 50 yards prior, if not even more. How important it is to surround yourself with the right people. So my goal in today's time together was to share with you some simple thoughts, simple ideas to consider to ensure 2019 is your best year yet. Hope that was helpful. Hope that last video inspired you a little bit. And I'm going to throw this out there to you. If you feel... Hey, this is Tom Beal here, and I'm doing a post-edit audio insert here. Basically, I'm going to share a URL real shortly that's way long, and pretty much I came up with it right before the training as a new page to my blog at the Simplifier, and it just went with the long title. So I made a redirect. So the new URL, to get my help, to get my assistance, ignore the long URL that you hear me say. The URL you want to write down and go to is thesimplifier.com/help. Thesimplifier.com/help brings you to that page. You'll see the long URL there, but I just want to make that simple for you. Now back to the regular program. That you would like to have some of my personal attention, I'm going to offer this. And just so you know, there's clients that invest $3,000 per month to get some of my attention. This is a free gift to those who cross this video. So if you're here, congratulations, you get this and have the opportunity to get some of my time and attention as a gift. So I would highly recommend not passing on that and actually going for it. And I'm just making sure that I got the proper URL. So I'm going to get this URL right here, go back over here, make sure it's right. That one is the right one. Okay, so go to thesimplifier.com/how can I help you with a hyphen in between. How-can-I-help-you. Lowercase I, all lowercase. Thesimplifier.com/how-can-I-help-you. Complete that brief form, and we will set up a time to have a brief chat of where you are, where you're looking to go, and how I can point you to the right place to get there in the most efficient, effective manner to ensure 2019 is your absolute best year yet. And full disclosure, I am not thinking that there's very few people that I select to even participate in my $3,000 a month program. So I'm not selling the $3,000 a month program. I do have programs from $22 up to a couple thousand that are all inclusive. So several 22, 47, 97, etc. If those are pertinent, those may be recommended. But I'm a person who has always been a consultative salesperson. I never sell anything or recommend anything that isn't the right fit for whoever it is that I'm speaking with. So if you're ready, take that action, have that time with you and I to chat, and I can guarantee you this. It's going to be a great conversation, and it'll go a bit deeper than what we went today and can connect some dots to ensure you rock 2019. All right, so go there, thesimplifier.com/how-can-I-help-you. Fill out that form. I look forward to chatting with you soon. Hope this was helpful. And get ready. 2019 is your year. You put the time, energy, effort into being here. That tells me you are ready to show the world what you've got. Detach from caring what the world has to say. More importantly, showing yourself, looking back at you in the mirror, what you've got, what you're capable of. It's time to show yourself what you're capable of. And guess what? In doing so, the nice side effect is other people will also benefit from it. All right. Talk with you soon. Make today great. And by the way, if you aren't in the app yet, you need to get in the app. So when you're at thesimplifier.com, get the app. There is so much value in there. Like, if I charge $5,000 for what's in there, I would sleep well at night knowing that it's worth more than that. You get it for free when you register for free at thesimplifier.com. Basically, you're emailed a password because it's a membership site app. It doesn't make sense. Membership app, like a membership site. You need your email and your password, which is specifically unique to you when you register. So when you register for free, the email will contain your password, and then you can go to the iOS and Android store, get the app, access it, and see all the amazing value waiting for you in there. All right, been my pleasure, my honor, crossing paths with you today. Look forward to hearing how 2019 unfolds, and I'm sure our paths will cross many times over the upcoming year and beyond. Go to thesimplifier.com, register for the app, and go to thesimplifier.com/how-can-I-help-you with a hyphen in between each word. And I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Until next time, make today great.